Please. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Please, just once, let me find someone who sees me. Real love before Christmas. That's all I want. Claire Donovan stood at the love fountain in the town square, Christmas Eve night, tears streaming down her face as she whispered her desperate wish. She held a single coin in her trembling hand, the last bit of change in her wallet, and tossed it into the water. She watched it sink, glinting under the Christmas lights, and felt foolish. 28 years old, alone on Christmas Eve, making wishes like a child. She turned to leave, wiping her eyes, and walked directly into someone. Hot coffee splashed across both of them. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." Claire was mortified, immediately pulling napkins from her bag, trying to help clean the stranger's jacket. But when she looked up at him, something in the air shifted. He was staring at her, not with anger, but with something else. Something that felt like recognition, like fate. Neither of them knew that this collision, this moment, would change everything. Before we continue, comment below where you're watching from. Now let's see how a simple accident became the answer to two desperate wishes. Claire Donovan was 28 years old and exhausted from feeling invisible. She was a kindergarten teacher who lived paycheck to paycheck, pouring everything she had into her students. She'd been raised by a single mother who taught her kindness above all else, who showed her that love was the only thing worth fighting for. 2 years ago, her mother lost her battle with cancer, and Claire lost the only family she had left. Now the holidays were just a painful reminder of how alone she was. Her last relationship had ended a year ago when she discovered her boyfriend cheating with someone he described as more exciting, more put together. It left Claire feeling like she wasn't enough, like she'd never be enough. All her friends were married or engaged now, posting perfect holiday photos with their perfect partners, and Claire was spending Christmas Eve alone, watching couples walk hand in hand through the square, feeling like a ghost no one could see. She'd come to the love fountain because of an old legend. They said if you made a wish for love before Christmas, and truly believed, the fountain would answer. Claire didn't know if she believed anymore, but she was desperate enough to try. She worked extra shifts to buy toys for students whose families couldn't afford them, gave everything she had to everyone else. And just once, she wanted someone to give her something back. She wanted to be seen, to be chosen, to be loved. The man she'd just spilled coffee on was Alexander Thornton, though she didn't know that yet. To her, he was just a stranger in a worn jacket and beanie, looking as lost as she felt. But Alexander was 32 years old and heir to Thornton Properties, a billion-dollar real estate empire. He'd recently taken over the company after his father's death, inheriting more money than most people could imagine. But wealth hadn't brought him happiness. It had brought him loneliness wrapped in designer suits. Alexander had been engaged twice, both times to women who wanted his last name more than they wanted him. The second one, Victoria, had left him 3 months ago for his business rival, a man with an even bigger portfolio. Her parting words still haunted him. "You're boring without your money, Alexander. Just a man with nothing interesting to offer." Those words had crushed something fundamental in him, his ability to trust that anyone could love him for who he was rather than what he had. Tonight, Alexander was conducting an experiment. He'd disguised himself as an ordinary guy, wearing clothes he'd bought at a thrift store, staying at a cheap motel instead of his family mansion. He was carrying only cash, no credit cards with his name embossed in gold. He wanted to know if it was possible, if someone, anyone, could see him without the money clouding their vision. He was lonelier than he'd ever been, surrounded by wealth that meant nothing, searching for something real in a world that felt entirely fake. Claire pulled napkins from her bag, frantically trying to clean the coffee from his jacket. "I'm so sorry." "Oh no, is it ruined?" Alexander was used to people being rude, entitled, demanding, but this woman was genuinely distressed about a jacket that cost him nothing. "It's just a jacket," he said gently. "Are you okay? You're crying." Claire froze, embarrassed that he'd noticed. "I'm fine. Just being silly." Alexander studied her face, the tear tracks on her cheeks, the loneliness he recognized because he wore it too. "Doesn't look silly. Looks like something hurt." Claire felt exposed but also strangely safe. She offered to buy him a new coffee. "I spilled yours. Let me replace it, please." Alexander started to refuse, then saw her pull out a small wallet. He could tell she didn't have much money, but she was offering anyway because that's who she was. Someone who gave, even when she had nothing left to give. "Only if you let me buy you one too," he said. "You look like you could use something warm." Claire hesitated, then smiled for the first time that night. "Okay, deal." They found a small cafe nearby, windows decorated with Christmas lights, the warm smell of cinnamon and coffee wrapping around them like a blanket. They sat by the window, and at first, it was awkward. Two strangers thrown together by accident. But then they started talking, and the awkwardness melted into something easy, natural, undeniable. "What brings you out on Christmas Eve?" Claire asked. Alexander, careful not to reveal too much, said he needed to clear his head. "You?" Claire laughed, embarrassed. "Making a wish at that fountain. Stupid, I know." Alexander leaned forward. "What did you wish for?" Claire hesitated. "You'll think I'm pathetic. Try me." Claire took a breath. "Love. Real love. Before Christmas. Just once. I want someone to choose me. For me. Not because I'm convenient or available, but because they see me and think, her, that's the one." Alexander felt his heart crack open. That was his wish too, just worded differently. "That's not pathetic," he said quietly. "That's human." They talked for hours. Claire told him about her students, about her mother, about her tiny apartment and her dreams of one day having enough saved to visit Paris. Alexander, careful not to mention his wealth, told her he worked in real estate, which was technically true. He talked about losing his father, about the weight of expectations, about feeling like he was living someone else's life. The chemistry between them was undeniable, natural, easy. Claire felt seen for the first time in years, like this stranger understood parts of her she'd never put into words. Alexander felt like himself for the first time since his father died, not the CEO or the heir, just Alex, a man talking to a woman who made him laugh. When the cafe announced closing, they both looked at the clock in shock. It was past midnight. Christmas Day had arrived while they weren't paying attention. Claire stood reluctantly. "I should go. Thank you. For the coffee. And the company." Alexander's heart raced. "Can I see you again? Tomorrow?" Claire felt hope bloom in her chest, dangerous and beautiful. "I'd like that." They exchanged numbers, fingers brushing as she handed him her phone. Alexander watched her walk away, knowing he was lying by omission, knowing he should tell her the truth. But he wanted just a little more time to be seen as just Alex, not Alexander Thornton, not the billionaire, just a man who'd found someone who made the world feel less lonely. Claire walked home through the snowy streets, and for the first time in 2 years, she felt something she'd forgotten how to feel: hope. Maybe fountain wishes were real after all. Maybe Christmas magic existed. Maybe, just maybe, she'd found what she'd been searching for. If this story is capturing your heart, please subscribe to Love is Kindness, like this video, and share it with someone who believes in second chances and Christmas miracles. Now let's see what happens when two people fall in love, and one of them is hiding the truth. The next 3 days felt like a dream Claire didn't want to wake from. She and Alex spent every possible moment together, and with each hour, she fell deeper. On Christmas Day, they walked through the town's Christmas market, the air filled with cinnamon and pine, lights twinkling overhead like captured stars. Claire saw a simple knit scarf at one of the stalls, dark blue, soft, and she bought it for him with the little money she had left. "It's not much," she said shyly as she wrapped it around his neck. "But it's cold out." Alexander stood very still, touched in a way he'd never been by any expensive gift. No one had ever given him something thoughtful just because they wanted to, not because they expected something bigger in return. "Thank you," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "I love it." And he meant it. He wore that scarf every day after, even though he owned cashmere scarves that cost more than most people's monthly rent. This one meant something. The second day, Claire invited him to help deliver toys to her students' families. Alex watched her knock on doors, greet struggling parents with warmth and zero judgment, hand over wrapped gifts she'd bought with money she didn't have. He saw her kneel down to hug children whose faces lit up like she'd given them the world. And in that moment, watching her radiate pure kindness and joy, Alexander Thornton fell completely, irreversibly in love. The third day, they baked cookies in Claire's tiny apartment. The kitchen was barely big enough for both of them, and they kept bumping into each other, laughing, stealing tastes of dough. The cookies burned because they were too busy talking, too busy being close, and when Claire laughed at the smoke alarm going off, Alex pulled her close and kissed her. Their first kiss tasted like burnt sugar and felt like coming home. Both of them knew, without saying it, this was it. This was real. Claire was falling hard for this regular guy she'd met at a fountain. She loved that he listened when she talked, actually listened, remembering small details she'd mentioned days before. She loved that he valued her opinions, asked what she thought about things, treated her ideas like they mattered. She told her best friend Maya about him over the phone. "He's not rich or flashy, but he's real, Maya." Finally, someone real. Maya was cautious. "Are you sure you're not rebounding?" "It's only been 3 days." Claire's voice was certain. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." But while Claire was falling in love with the truth of who Alex was drowning in guilt. He knew he should tell her. Every moment that passed made the lie bigger, heavier. He was terrified that when she found out, she'd change. That she'd start treating him differently, seeing dollar signs instead of him. Or worse, that she'd think he'd manipulated her on purpose. That everything between them had been a cruel experiment. He wanted to tell her. The words were on his tongue a dozen times, but he kept chickening out, telling himself he'd reveal everything after Christmas. Just a few more days of being seen as just Alex. Just a few more days of this magic before reality ruined it. On the 4th day, everything fell apart. Alex was at his motel when his assistant Preston tracked him down, knocking urgently on the door. "Sir, we have an emergency. There's a major deal falling through. $50 million. You need to be at the office to sign papers immediately." Alex, still wearing the scarf Claire gave him, felt torn in two. "Handle it. I'm not available." Preston stared at him in shock. "Sir, it's $50 million. The board is waiting." Alex closed his eyes. He thought of Claire, of their plans to visit the ice rink that afternoon. Finally, he sighed. "Fine, but I'll be there in an hour." He texted Claire with a vague excuse about a work emergency, hating himself for the lie. Claire responded immediately with concern and understanding. "It's okay. Work is important. See you tonight?" Alex promised he'd be back soon, and left for a world he'd been trying to escape. Claire, worried about him, decided to surprise him with lunch. He'd mentioned his office address casually during one of their conversations, and she thought bringing him food would brighten his stressful day. She took the bus across town, carrying a homemade sandwich and his favorite coffee, her heart light with the simple joy of caring for someone. When she arrived at the address, her steps slowed. Thornton Properties. The building was massive, all glass and steel, the kind of place that screamed wealth and power. Confused, she walked into the lobby, and her world stopped. There, on the wall in a massive portrait, was Alex. But the plaque beneath read, "Alexander Thornton, CEO." Her heart stopped beating. The sandwich slipped from her numb fingers. "Can I help you?" the receptionist asked politely. Claire couldn't breathe. I was looking for someone. I think I have the wrong place." She turned and ran, tears already blurring her vision, feeling like the biggest fool in the world. That evening, Alexander returned to Claire's apartment, his heart light because he'd decided to tell her everything tonight. No more hiding, no more lies. But when he knocked, she didn't answer. "Claire, please, let me explain." Silence. Then the door opened, and Claire stood there, tears streaming down her face, devastation in her eyes that he'd put there. "Explain what?" Her voice shook. "That you lied? That you made a fool of me?" Alex felt his world crumbling. "I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you everything." Claire laughed bitterly. "You let me buy you coffee with my last $20. You let me buy you a scarf with money I needed for groceries. You let me feel sorry for you, like we were equals, like we were the same. I never wanted your pity," Alex said desperately. "I wanted you to see me." Claire's voice rose. "I don't even know who you are." "Alexander Thornton, billionaire, CEO. Was this a game to you? Some rich guy slumming it to see how the other half lives?" Alex broke. "Yes, I'm wealthy. Yes, I disguised myself. But everything I felt was real." He explained quickly, desperately, about Victoria, about the women who'd only wanted his money, about wanting to know if anyone could love him for who he was, not what he had. "I wanted to know if someone could love me without my name attached, without my bank account defining me." Claire was crying now, her voice raw. "And I was your experiment? Your little test, to see if the poor kindergarten teacher would fall for you?" Alex stepped toward her. "No, you were my answer. You are my answer. Claire, everything between us was real. I fell in love with someone who doesn't exist," Claire whispered. Alex grabbed her hands. "I exist. The guy who burned cookies with you? That's me. The guy who held your hand at the Christmas market? That's me. The man who's never felt more himself than when he's with you? That's me, Claire. That's who I am." Claire pulled her hands away. "I don't know what's real anymore." And she closed the door on him, leaving Alexander standing in the hallway, having lost the only real thing he'd ever found. Alexander left Claire's apartment and returned to his mansion for the first time in days. The house that usually represented his success now felt like a mausoleum, empty, cold, meaningless. Preston found him standing in the dark living room, still wearing the thrift store jacket and the scarf Claire had given him. "Sir, you're back." Alex's voice was hollow. "I lost her, Preston. I lost the only real thing I've ever had." Preston had known Alexander since he was a boy, had watched him grow up in this mansion, had seen every heartbreak, every betrayal. "Then fight for her, sir. Don't let her be the one that got away because you were too afraid to fight." Across town, Claire was sobbing to Maya on the phone. "But did he treat you badly?" Maya asked gently. "Was he unkind? Did he use you?" Claire's voice broke. "No. He was perfect. That's what hurts. He was everything I wished for, and I don't know if any of it was real." Maya was quiet for a moment. "Then what's the real problem, Claire?" Claire took a shaking breath. "I'm afraid. Afraid his world will swallow me whole. Afraid I'll lose myself trying to fit into his life. Afraid that I'm not enough for someone like him." Maya's voice was soft but firm. "Or maybe you're afraid that your wish came true, and you're scared to believe in magic." Christmas morning arrived bright and cold. Claire woke with swollen eyes, her heart aching, when a knock came at her door. She opened it, and there stood Alex. Not Alexander Thornton in a designer suit, just Alex, wearing his worn jacket and beanie, the scarf she'd given him wrapped around his neck, his eyes red like he'd been crying too. "I know you don't trust me," he said quietly. "I know I hurt you, but I'm not giving up. Not on you, not on us." Claire felt her resolve wavering. "Alex." He held out his hand. "Come with me, please. One more chance. Just hear me out. If you still want me to leave after, I will. I promise." Claire looked at his outstretched hand, at the hope and fear in his eyes, and despite everything, she took it. He led her through the quiet Christmas morning streets to the love fountain. The town square was decorated but empty. peaceful in the early light. They stood where they'd met 4 days ago, where everything had started. "You made a wish here," Alex said, staring at the water. "So did I." Claire looked at him, confused. "You made a wish?" Alex reached into his pocket and pulled out a coin. "Same night, same fountain, right after you left. I saw you crying and tossing a coin, and something made me stop." "What did you wish for?" Claire whispered. Alex met her eyes. "Someone who would see past my money. Someone who would love me for who I am, not what I have. Someone real in a world that feels fake." He smiled sadly. "And then, 10 seconds after making that wish, you crashed into me and spilled coffee everywhere." Claire felt tears streaming down her face. Alex continued, his voice gentle. "I was testing everyone, pushing people away, hiding behind a disguise because I'd been hurt so many times. And then you spilled coffee on me." He laughed through his own tears. "You apologized like you'd ruined my life. You offered me your last $20 to make it right. You didn't see a billionaire or a poor guy. You just saw someone who needed kindness." "I saw you," Claire whispered. "Yes," Alex said, stepping closer. "And I saw you, really saw you. Your heart, your kindness, the way you light up a room. I fell in love with a kindergarten teacher who gives her students more than she keeps for herself, who believes in fountain wishes and Christmas magic, who makes terrible cookies and laughs about it. That's who I love, Claire. Not an experiment, not a test. You." Claire stepped closer, her voice shaking. "I was scared. Not of your money. Of losing myself. Of not being enough for your world." Alex took her hands. "Then we'll figure it out together. Your world, my world, our world. I don't need you to change. I don't need you to fit into some society version of who you should be. I just need you to be you." Claire looked into his eyes. "And I don't need you to be a billionaire. I just need you to be the guy who held my hand at the Christmas market, who burned cookies with me, who saw me when I felt invisible." Alex smiled. "I can do that. That's all I want to be. That's who I am with you." They kissed by the fountain as snow began to fall, the first snow of the season, soft and perfect and real. When they pulled apart, Claire whispered, "Our wishes came true." Alex laughed, holding her close. "Best coin I ever spent." Claire pulled back to look at him. "You really made a wish? Right after me?" Alex nodded. "I saw you crying and thought, that woman believes in magic. Maybe I should too. Maybe that's what I've been missing. Not money or success, but the courage to believe in something as simple as a wish." 6 months later, their life together was nothing like a fairy tale, and everything like real love. Claire was still teaching, having refused every one of Alex's offers to set her up with something easier. But Alex quietly funded her classroom, bought toys for all her students, made sure no child in her care went without. They were engaged, Claire wearing a simple ring she'd chosen herself, not the massive diamond Alex had wanted to buy. They lived in a modest house they'd picked out together, not his mansion. Alex had learned to bake, though the cookies were still terrible, and they both volunteered at a children's charity every weekend. They'd found balance, his resources, her heart, their love. Alex started the Love Fountain Foundation, named after the place they met, dedicated to granting wishes for people who needed help. Claire ran it with him, and together they helped others find their own Christmas miracles. Christmas Eve arrived again. 1 year after that first wish, Alex and Claire stood at the fountain, hand in hand. "Ready to make another wish?" he asked. Claire smiled. "I got everything I wished for." Alex pulled out 2 coins. "Me too. But let's keep the tradition alive." They both tossed coins into the water, watching them sink and sparkle. A young woman nearby was watching them, crying softly, just like Claire had been a year ago. Claire approached her gently. "First time at the Love Fountain?" The woman nodded, embarrassed. "Silly, right? Wishing for love at a fountain?" Claire smiled warmly. "Not at all. I met my fiancé here last Christmas, right after I made a wish." The woman's eyes lit up with hope. Really? Really, Claire said. Sometimes magic is just two people brave enough to see each other. The woman smiled through her tears, pulled out a coin, and whispered her wish before tossing it in. Claire and Alex walked away hand in hand, the magic continuing, love spreading, wishes coming true. I threw a coin into a fountain and wished for love, real love, someone who'd see me. I didn't know my wish had already been granted. The man I'd bump into 10 seconds later was making the same wish. We were both searching for something real in a world of pretense. He wore a disguise to find authenticity. I wore my heart on my sleeve, hoping someone would cherish it. When the truth came out, I thought our love was built on lies. But the only lie was thinking we needed to be anything other than ourselves. He wasn't a prince in disguise. He was a man looking for something money couldn't buy. And I wasn't a damsel needing rescue. I was a woman who'd been rescuing herself all along. We just needed each other to remember that being seen, being valued, being loved, that's the real magic. I made a wish at a fountain for love before Christmas. And I found it. Not because of magic coins or fairy tale chances, but because two lonely people chose to see each other, really see each other, in a world that often looks right past what matters most. Sometimes your wish comes true the moment you make it. You just have to be brave enough to recognize it when it spills coffee on you. What did you think of Claire and Alex's love story? Rate this story from 0 to 10 inches the comments box below. And if this story reminded you to believe in magic, in wishes, in love that sees past everything to find what's real, please subscribe to Love is Kindness. Like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and comment where you're watching from. Thank you for believing in love with us. Merry Christmas, and may all your wishes come true.